What's up, guys? Welcome back to Inside Out Precision. Today we are reviewing the highly anticipated Nexus 2. They make a 2, a 4, and a 6. We're still waiting on the 4s and the 6s. I've had this Nexus 2 for a couple weeks now, and I've been getting a ton of requests to do the review on this. So we're gonna jump right in. As usual, technical specs first, then we're gonna run it through the chronograph at 28 inches and 30 inches with a variety of arrow weights. So, as the name would suggest, in the 2, the Nexus 2 is 32 inches axle to axle. It has a 6-inch brace height, an IBO speed of 341 feet per second. You can get this in a peak weight from 40 all the way up to 80 pounds. And it comes in at just 4.25 pounds, which for an aluminum bow at 32 inches is very light, which I'm a fan of. Looks pretty similar to the Black series in terms of the riser design, although there are a couple different little cutouts here. So things that they did differently this year. The biggest thing is going to be in the grip. So this is the new aerogel grip, and it's actually a casing basically that goes over the grip, the aluminum riser of the grip anyway. And if you're not familiar with what aerogel was, I wasn't, but what their website explains is that this is actually what like NASA uses to insulate astronauts' suits. So it's a very insulative, that's a word, highly insulating material. So basically, you know, some people had a complaint that because there was no like rubber or plastic grip on the Black series, that the riser got really, really cold. So for those late season hunts, you're packing your bow around, your hand just turns into an ice block. This is supposed to help alleviate that. On top of that, you can see it's textured here, which I think is a huge plus. If I have any complaint about ever just shooting off of a bare riser, it's always that, you know, in like hot and humid conditions, your hands are sweaty, you know, it creates that kind of slippery feel, or if it's raining outside, same deal, you're gonna get a little bit of slippage there. So by adding that texture and insulating that grip, I think it's a really big upgrade. It's still the same shape of grip. I have always loved Prime's grips. I think they're incredibly, incredibly comfortable, very torque free, and just a really stable feeling handle or grip on the bow. Now, if you didn't catch my Black series review, you may notice when you look at this bow from behind, you see this riser bend here. And Prime does a couple things totally differently than other manufacturers. The first being that the burger hole, or where the rest is here, is actually above the true center of the riser. And you know, when your arrow's 90 degrees, it's actually above the center of the string. Now, most other manufacturers have the grip set lower, and the burger hole and your arrow knock right in the middle of the string, or the burger hole, which is the rest hole here, is in the very center of the riser. The idea for that is that then, you know, your arrow is in the true vertex of the string at full draw, thus creating less knock travel and so on and so forth. What Prime has done in order to create an extremely well-balanced bow, which I think this bow is, they've actually put the throat of the grip here in the true center of the riser. And what that does is it puts more riser below your hand. Well, I shouldn't say more riser. It puts equal amount of riser above and below your hand. So it helps keep that center of gravity low and keeps from wanting that bow to tilt left and right. In doing so, what can happen is that then, because your arrow is above the center of the string, you know, when you shoot, it wants to push that knock down. So to alleviate that, they've done a couple things. One, this cam system, which is still the dual track cam system. It's nearly the exact same cam that was on the Black series. It's got a little different cutouts, but honestly, I'm pretty sure you can almost interchange these. But the top cam is actually slightly larger than the bottom cam, and that's, again, to offset any knock travel caused by that string, or the center being above true center of the string there. In addition to that, this little sway here allows them to do two things. A, they can fit more material while still maintaining a shorter axle to axle, so it allows for a lower center of gravity, like more mass weight right below your hand there, which is where you want it. And B, it evens out the flex to create a true timing. So what I mean by that is every riser has a little bit of flex when you draw. It's just inherent. No riser is perfectly stiff. And a lot of risers, for example, the Hoyt Power Max comes to mind. When you timed that bow on a draw board, you know, top and bottom cam hitting even, it almost always tuned, like when you shot it through paper, it was almost always like an inch tail high. And the reason for that was partly because that's a cast riser and there's a lot of flex in that riser. So even though both cams come in taut touch the cables at the same time, upon shot, or upon D-shot, because the top of the riser might have flexed slightly different than the bottom of the riser, one cam actually ends up ahead of the other. So by making these cams different sizes and then adding this little sway in the riser here, they've evened out the flex perfectly even top and bottom, you know, above and below your grip. And I will say that it actually works. It's not a gimmick. When you time these cams and you line everything up level right through the burger hole in center shot, I'm almost never correcting a high-low tear. It's always just a matter of left and right. So there is little to no knock travel with this. When it comes to tuning out the left and right, they have a shim kit, so it's kind of hard to see on the camera here, but these little silver shims on either side, they've got 3 sizes. It comes with just 4 of the same size, which is the medium size shim, and they have a large and a small. This year they actually send the bow with 2 large, 2 small, and then the 4 mediums that are in the bow. So you have the full shim kit, you don't have to order it, which honestly I think it's a very minor thing, but from a technician standpoint, that's a huge deal, because in tuning these, I've found that almost all of them out of the box shoot tail right by about that far. So you need to shim those cams to the right. So I need a larger spacer on the left and a smaller on the right. Usually I end up doing both cams to get rid of it, but it's a pain when you don't have the shims you need. So it's nice that they're sending the whole kit that you need with the bow. I think that's a really nice feature that they're providing this year. This is the new, well, I don't know if this is a new green, but they've got a couple new colors this year. They got some really cool colors. I think the fit and finish on Prime is second to none. Just an awesome, awesome looking bow. It still has the flex guard here on, so your roller guard on the flexion cable rod. You can use that a little bit to get a little more vane clearance if you need to. Maybe take out like just a 1/16 or an 1/8 of an inch tear right or left, but it doesn't have a huge effect when you're tuning, whether it's tightened all the way down or loosened up a little bit. But the idea is that it keeps less torque in the cables basically. Doesn't act like a static rod that just keeps that guard in the same place. It actually allows those cables to come in a little bit during the shot and alleviate some torque. So lots of options when tuning this bow. My personal opinion, I was hoping that I'd get a lefty in so I could, actually shoot this a little bit, but on the Black series, it's a very solid bow. You've got your draw stops here. These are not limb stops. They come around and touch the cables. And by positioning these, I can change the let off of this bow from 65 up to 90%. As I decrease in let off, it is going to shorten your draw length just ever so slightly. So that's something to keep in mind, but it's not going to be like a full half inch. It's going to be, an 1/8 of an inch here and there. But for those of you who want to shoot 75, 80%, you have that option just by moving these draw stops a little bit one direction or the other. So that's a really cool feature of this. I don't need new modules. I don't need to get a different cam. It's just in those draw stops. So I personally am a big fan of Prime. We sold quite a few of them this year, and they're getting more and more popular. Like I said, the fit and finish on this bow is just really second to none. I'm really looking forward to see what this does with a heavy arrow. Last year with the Black 5, I was extremely impressed at how efficient it was with a 500 plus grain arrow. I think I went back and watched it, and it was like 278 to 280 with like a 520 grain arrow at 30 inches, which is impressive. Usually an arrow like that, you're going to be low 270s, high 260s. So I'm hoping that efficiency remains in this new lineup. So again, this is the Nexus 2. Right now I have it set at 28 inches. So this first set of shots is going to be with 28 inches. I've got arrows ranging from like 520 down to 360, 358, 360, something like that. So we should get a full spectrum, and hopefully one of those is going to be close to an arrow you shoot. And then we'll lengthen it out to 30 and see what it does in its IBO specs. So this is a 70-pound model. I've got it peaked out, and it's right at 70.1 pounds. I had to take about half a turn off to get it there. They come in a little bit hot, as most bows do, right out of the box. So anyway, looking forward to shooting this thing. I'm going to get that chrono set up, and we'll run some slivers through this thing. Okay, so got the chrono set up here. So I am shooting this bow right-handed, so I'm gonna look like an idiot drawing it. Please save the comments. But we're gonna start with my personal arrow. This is a Easton Injection 280. This is a 500, it's 518 grains or 520 grains basically. So we're gonna see what this what this does. So 28 inches, 70 pounds, 518 grain arrow. Actually draws surprisingly smooth. So 256. This next arrow is 476 grains. Super solid back wall. 272, so pretty good jump there. This next one is 445 grains. So this would be this is like an Axis 340 at 28 inches. This would be like a really common setup with this draw length and draw weight. .282. This next arrow is 410 grains. This would be a little bit lighter than what I would probably shoot for hunting. Whew, 293. And then this last little burner here, this is a 362 grain arrow. Hopefully it's long enough. Oh, just barely. 303. So about right what I would expect, to be completely honest, for a bow that IBOs at what it does. So I'm curious to see what this is going to do with that heavier arrow. I'm guessing it's going to probably jump about 20 to 22 feet a second, so it should be right around that like 278, 280 mark again. So I'm going to get this draw length figured out. It is a rotating module, by the way. This bow will go from 23 out to 30 inches. I don't know if I mentioned that in the specs. So it's a little bit of a, there's a couple set screws on this side and one on this side. Then you got to match the draw stop. So it's a little bit of a process to change the draw length, but you don't need a press or anything. So anyway, I'm going to shut off the camera real quick, get this to 30 inches and we'll run it there. All right, got the bow put back at 30 inches here. One thing I will say, so lots of people say that primes always have this like twang when you shoot them, and it's not actually in the bow or the strings. It's usually because one of these like 3 screws on their modules has come a little bit loose. So when you pound on the bow, you'll hear this little bzz, bzz. If there is a downside to this, the dual track cam system, it is that there are a lot of screws holding this thing together. So it is something that you will want to kind of check every time you're shooting. If all of a sudden your bow's making a little more noise than you think it should be, it's usually in that module. That being said, once you get it where you need it and you cinch all those things down, it's not going to be like an everyday thing. It's just something you want to keep in mind if you are hearing a little bit of extra noise. So got that set. Nope, need to pull my arrows here. All right. So, first arrow, 518 grains. This is going to be 70 pounds, 30 inches, prime Nexus 2. Man, that feels good at full draw though. 272, so that's pretty legit. You can hear my arrow went all the way through and hit the wall. Next arrow is 476. And I'm not looking forward to pulling that one. Oh gosh. 288, so 475 grain arrow at 30 inches doing darn near 290. I mean, that's gonna hit hard. You're gonna have a flat trajectory. That's really good speed. 445. I'd expect this to be pushing 300. Yeah, 296. 410. Oh, that vein's falling off. So maybe like 407 now without that vein. Get back. Yeah, 307. And now for a little shorty, I really hope this doesn't pull past the rest at this length. gonna be sketchy. Oh, we're good. We got a 1/2 inch. 331. So definitely a fast bow. You know, IBO is done without any loop, peep, anything on the string. Also the 350 grain arrow. So I think that's where we're seeing the little lack of numbers there. But definitely a sweet shooter. I would definitely encourage you, if you're looking for a new bow, want to try something different, go down to your prime dealer and get your hands on one of these. I'm really looking forward to the Nexus 4. You know, it's 34 inches, 6.5 inch brace, but IBO is at 345. So it's actually a little bit faster than this bow. And this is a comfortable string angle to me at 32 inches, but I've always just kind of gravitated at my draw length more towards, you know, really anything 32 to like 34 seems to be my sweet spot. So, like I said, this bow's got a big range. It'll go from 23 all the way up to 30 inches. The other bows are gonna go 30.5 and then 31. So should fit a very wide range of draw lengths. The fact you can get it down that short is pretty cool. Yeah, I don't think you'll be disappointed. Like I said, I mean, it's hard to tell on film here, but when you get your hands on one of these things, you'll just notice how awesome the fit and finish is. I think this grip is definitely a winner. Even right-handed, this bow, like when it gets back, it just locks in. You just feel really solid, and the ability to kind of play with that let off a little bit, maybe take it down to 80 or, you know, 82 or wherever you want it, is a really cool feature. So I definitely think this is gonna be a popular bow. Again, that's the Prime Nexus 2. So get down to your dealer or come into our shop and see them. We got a couple of these, should have more rolling in soon. I talked to my rep and he said we should be seeing them in the next week and a half or so. So be watching for that Nexus 4 review coming up. Then I'll do the Nexus 6. I got a couple other bows I wanna do, you know, the Matthews, the prAna, and the Atlas. But yeah, bunch of stuff coming. All the new bows, Hoyts are gonna be out, like, I think they announced January 11th, and it sounds like they're gonna kind of redo some things without giving too much away. Sounds like they're kind of revamping their whole cam system. So looking forward to see what they do there. So we'll have a whole bunch more reviews coming. So until next time, guys, remember precision is the decision. Keep them in the middle, and I'll see you on the range.